And I'm talking about, let's start here. This is, of course, Sophie and Sheldon going down the floor. Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose. And Sophie said, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. We'll go. We'll go. So there's that. That, of course, was all a byproduct of this right here, folks.
The Women's Professional Basketball League finds itself embroiled in heated debate following a series of aggressive encounters during recent gameplay. What should have been discussions about athletic performance has instead shifted focus to concerning physical altercations that have left fans and observers questioning league oversight. The latest controversy stems from incidents involving Indiana Fever players, particularly targeting star rookie Caitlin Clark. During a recent matchup against the Connecticut Sun, multiple aggressive plays occurred that have sparked widespread criticism across social media platforms.
A while ago, you could see that dust up coming from a mile away. Of course you could. Of course you could. And Sophie Cunningham actually acted as an enforcer. Like, Caitlin Clark has the enforcer. And shout out to Caitlin Clark Report for using this picture. For using this picture, like. But, like, when you've got one of the least, like, opinionated, a lot going on in the W at the moment. When you've got, like, Alexa Philippou tweeting about this. Like, when you've got it. And, by the way,
the sequence of events began when Jacy Sheldon made contact with Clark's face in what appeared to be an intentional eye-gouging motion. Shortly after, Marina Mabrey delivered a forceful hip check that sent Clark tumbling to the court floor. These incidents have drawn comparisons to previous aggressive encounters involving other players like Dejanay Carrington and Kennedy Carter. The officiating response to these plays has become a central point of criticism. While some players received ejections for retaliatory actions, others involved in the initial aggressive contact remained in the game. This inconsistent enforcement has frustrated fans and team personnel alike.
And I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, that's the understatement. Once again, we got Jacy Sheldon right here. She's going to give Caitlin Clark the Dejanay Carrington eye gouge. And then Marina Mabrey's going to come in like some thug off the street and pull a Kennedy Carter on.
Sophie Cunningham of the Fever eventually engaged in a physical altercation with Sheldon, resulting in both players going to the court floor. Cunningham's actions appeared to be a direct response to the earlier unpunished incidents involving her teammate Clark. The confrontation escalated when Cunningham declared her willingness to continue the physical engagement. Head coach Stephanie White faced criticism for not providing more vocal support for her players during these incidents. Many observers suggested that coaching staff should have been more demonstrative in defending their players against what they perceived as targeted aggression.
Hey, people coming in saying your league's a damn joke. No one can deny it. No one can deny it. The commentators were saying it was a bad look for the league. And no, by the way, the commentators weren't saying what Mabrey did was a bad look for the league. What Mabrey did happens. What Jacy Sheldon did. Jacy Sheldon is a reckless, dirty player, but it happens. It happens. Sophie Cunningham is Sophie Cunningham. You know what's going to happen. You let Marina Mabrey away with it.
Despite the physical nature of the encounters, Clark managed to deliver a strong performance, scoring 20 points with 6 assists. She responded to the adversity by hitting crucial three-point shots and directing pointed celebrations toward the opposing team's bench, clearly communicating her team's frustration with the situation. The broader implications of these incidents extend beyond individual games. Social media reactions have been overwhelmingly critical of league management, with fans expressing concerns about player safety and competitive integrity. Many posts highlight the apparent targeting of specific players, particularly Clark, and question whether such incidents would be tolerated in comparable men's professional leagues.
Caitlin Clark. Let's watch
Caitlin
this.
Clark is trying to create some.
I'm going to turn this down. There's the eye gouge, okay? And there's Mabrey right there with the hip check, the shove. That's the eye gouge. And then right there. Good God Almighty. And look, I'm going to be real. I really wish a Fever.
Statistical analysis reveals the league's dependency on certain marquee players for viewership. Recent games without Clark showed a 55% decline in television ratings, underscoring her importance to the league's commercial success. This dependency raises questions about the wisdom of allowing aggressive play that could potentially sideline key attractions. The Connecticut Sun ultimately lost the contest 88-71, with Indiana's Kelsey Mitchell contributing 17 points and Natasha Howard adding a double-double with 16 points and 12 rebounds. Aaliyah Boston provided additional support with 9 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists.
Keep Jacy Sheldon on the floor and Sophie Cunningham's there. What did they think was going to happen? What did they think was going to happen? This was all on the referees. The commentators, all they did was talk about the referees. All they did was talk about the refs. You got Van Shea. The refs are atrocious. Nobody is blaming Sophie Cunningham for that. Everyone is blaming the refs. All the refs had to do was their job. All the refs had to do is their job.
League officials now face mounting pressure to address these incidents through policy changes and more consistent officiating standards. The current situation has led to suggestions that top players might consider overseas opportunities where they could potentially earn significantly higher salaries while avoiding the physical targeting that has become commonplace. The incidents have transformed what should be basketball discussions into debates about player conduct, league management, and officiating consistency. Until these fundamental issues receive adequate attention, the focus will likely remain on controversial physical encounters rather than the athletic achievements that should define professional basketball competition. The league's reputation continues to suffer as these incidents accumulate, with many questioning whether current leadership possesses the capability to maintain both competitive integrity and player safety standards expected in professional sports.
If a player would have responded right then and there, at some point, that's got to happen. Sophie Cunningham is going back to the locker room, and I'm wondering, I don't know if she just got kicked out, but if they kicked her out and they did not kick Marina Mabrey out, then holy shit, because that's the next thing we got to get to. Mabrey, for that incident, that Kennedy Carter vicious
The WNBA finds itself embroiled in another controversy regarding officiating standards and player safety. Sports media outlets and journalists have voiced significant concerns about referee performance during a recent Fever Sun matchup. A 2047 sports correspondent highlighted the officiating failures, emphasizing that when referees properly manage games, such incidents don't escalate. The decision to allow Marina Mabrey to remain on the court after her actions has drawn widespread criticism, with many viewing it as evidence of inadequate WNBA officiating standards. The situation involved a player clutching their face after being struck from behind, drawing comparisons to previous Kennedy Carter incidents.
You have got the commentators who are being paid by a team, basically not even just blaming the refs for the situation. You have got, like, if you're looking, all you have to do right now, you've got scouts, like legitimate, like, basketball scouts for prep hoops, talking about the refs continuing to be an embarrassment. You've got everything. You've got Kathy.
Even typically neutral commentators like Alexa Philippou weighed in on the controversy. Her assessment stated that Indiana Fever officials had clearly lost game control well before the altercation, making the eventual confrontation predictable. Sophie Cunningham's role as a protective teammate for Clark became apparent during the incident. The broadcasting team consistently focused their criticism on the referees rather than the players involved. While acknowledging that physical play from Marina Mabrey, Jacy Sheldon, and Sophie Cunningham represents their typical style, commentators emphasized that proper officiating could have prevented the escalation. The consensus among analysts was that referees failed to perform their fundamental duties.
Slammed to the ground she just had on Caitlin Clark. They did not throw her out of this game. And I called Stephanie White out on social media. I was like, this is the time where you as a coach, you've got to go, and I'm going to go old school, you've got to go full on Bobby Knight, Indiana Hoosiers, showing your ass out there for your players. There is not a world where
Multiple basketball analysts and scouts have condemned the officiating as embarrassing to the league. Prominent figures like Robin Lumber have characterized the situation as open season on Caitlin Clark, suggesting a pattern of inadequate protection for certain players. Christine Brennan, a distinguished sports journalist, criticized the WNBA's handling of the situation, particularly the decision to keep Marina Mabrey in the game. Her commentary noted that with unprecedented viewership numbers, such officiating failures present a poor image to new audiences. The inconsistency in technical foul calls was highlighted, with some players receiving ejections for less severe actions than those that went unpunished.
The Engelbert being called out, you've got the refs, you've got, you got, obviously, regardless of what you want to say, regardless of whether or not you like Robin Lumber, I think he does a hell of a job. He's just not anti-Caitlin. He's just more pro-Caitlin than anti-Caitlin. Open season on Caitlin Clark continues. Not wrong. He's not wrong. You've got Christine Brennan, who is, again, one of the legitimate top, tippity-top.
The incident revealed significant problems with league management. Casual observers and dedicated fans alike have called out the officiating inconsistencies. The situation was particularly notable because all participants shared similar demographics, potentially avoiding additional complications that might have arisen otherwise. The physical altercation itself stemmed from accumulated frustration over repeated uncalled fouls. While some argued that the hard foul was unnecessary given the score differential, others contended that protective action was warranted when official intervention failed. The enforcement inconsistency became evident when Clark received equivalent penalties to the player who initiated the contact, despite being the victim of what appeared to be intentional targeting.
Marina should not have been on a one-way trip to the showers. Not a world. I mean, it's unbelievable. This league is out of control and not in a good way. This is Caitlin Clark. She's going to hit a big three, and you can tell the emotions are high. The Indiana Fever announcers, I will give them credit. That incident with Sophie Cunningham is a direct byproduct.
Previous incidents involving similar actions by other players had resulted in different outcomes, highlighting the inconsistent application of rules. Hair-pulling incidents and other aggressive plays had been classified as common fouls in other games, creating confusion about enforcement standards. Marina Mabrey's demeanor throughout the incident, including apparent amusement at the situation, while remaining in the game, further frustrated observers. The only ejection from the incident was for retaliatory behavior rather than the initial aggressive action.
Greatest female sports journalist of all time. And this is before even yet. The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment. Terrible decision to allow Marina Mabrey to stay in the game. People are watching as never before, and this is what they see. Why do you think WNBA is allowing this kind of whistle? I feel like competition and passion is there. They don't need to leave a soft whistle. But then they'll eject Sophie Cunningham for something less egregious. They will eject Sophie Cunningham for something less egregious. They will eject Lindsay Allen for something.
Social media coverage of the event has been extensive, with various sports pages and fan accounts documenting what they perceive as systematic targeting of Clark. The incident has reinforced perceptions among basketball fans that certain players face disproportionate physical treatment without adequate protection from officials. The controversy represents a broader issue with WNBA officiating consistency and player protection standards. The league faces mounting pressure to address these concerns as viewership increases and public scrutiny intensifies. The repeated nature of such incidents suggests systemic problems that require immediate attention to maintain the league's credibility and ensure player safety.
Product of the fact that situation earlier was not handled correctly. That's all there is to it. So right here, there's a long three in Jacy's face. Clark goes to talking shit towards the Connecticut Sun bench. That was a clear message from CC22 right there. I mean, this team's had enough, and I don't blame them.
This situation exemplifies the challenges facing the WNBA as it attempts to capitalize on increased interest while maintaining competitive integrity. The officiating inconsistencies and apparent player targeting have become major talking points that threaten to overshadow the quality of play and athletic achievements within the league. The intense matchup between these basketball teams showcased a brewing conflict that deserves closer examination. This particular rivalry has been developing quietly, creating tension that explodes during their encounters on the court. From the opening moments, the defensive pressure applied by one player clearly frustrated the opposing star. The aggressive defensive style involved constant physical contact, bumping, and positioning that tested the boundaries of acceptable play. This defensive approach consistently disrupted the offensive rhythm and created visible irritation.
Less egregious. Like, and by the way, like, this game showed so much of the bad sides. And like, you have got anyone watching this from a casual perspective calling out Marina Mabrey right now. And do you want to know what? I mean this when I say this. And I hate that I have to say this. Thank God everybody involved.
During a crucial sequence, the defensive player made contact with the opponent's face area while attempting to defend. The contact appeared to involve scratching or clawing motions near the eyes, resulting in visible marks on the affected player's arm. This incident escalated tension significantly as the offensive player immediately pushed back in response to what seemed like excessive contact. The situation intensified when a third player intervened unexpectedly. This teammate of the defender stepped in and delivered a forceful shove to the already frustrated star player. The intervention came from an unexpected angle, catching the targeted player off guard. This secondary confrontation drew additional attention from officials and spectators.
This league, unbelievable. So, I tweeted this out. Look at this, folks. These effing reps, this effing league. This is Jacy Sheldon right here, with an entire handful of Caitlin Clark's shoulder and bicep, and she's twisting it. Okay? I mean, this is wild.
Following the physical altercation, the intervening player displayed celebratory behavior, appearing pleased with the confrontation. Observers noted what seemed like satisfaction or amusement regarding the earlier eye contact incident. This reaction suggested potential coordination or approval of the defensive player's aggressive tactics. Photographic evidence captured the moment of facial contact, clearly showing fingernails making contact with skin. The documentation revealed the extent of the physical interaction and supported claims about the nature of the defensive play. These images provided concrete evidence of the controversial contact.
In this situation is white and blonde. Thank God. And this is the first time you will ever hear me reference that. This is the first time you'll ever hear me reference anything like that. Thank God. We're not going to see investigations. Thank God. Because we can actually talk about the situation that happened and not fake crowd noises. Because
later in the contest, the offensive star responded by making a successful shot while being defended, followed by apparent verbal communication directed at the primary defender. The exchange seemed to serve as retaliation for the earlier physical confrontation, with the scorer appearing to deliver pointed comments. Throughout the third quarter, despite holding a 20-point advantage, tensions continued escalating. The defensive specialists maintained pressure through verbal exchanges that visibly agitated the opposing team. Teammates rallied around their star player, becoming increasingly animated in response to the ongoing psychological warfare.